Okay, so this is the next problem in section 4.1, Math 63. I think this is the fourth problem that we're doing. And we have this wall here. It says find the area of the wall. Okay, that should be simple enough. And we're going to put some sheets of plywood on there. So we're interested in how many sheets it might take. And then the next problem at the bottom is going to be we're going to be putting up some siding, and we want to know how much siding we're going to be using. So first things first, to find the area of the wall, we don't have a formula for this kind of a shape. So we're going to have to break it into something that we know. Well, the obvious, maybe not so obvious, but what I would do is I would go ahead and just draw a line in here, right across here, and basically break it into a triangle and a rectangle. So I'll call the triangle part A and the rectangle part B. So I'm going to find the area of each one and then add them together, and that's going to be the area of the wall. So that's my plan. So the area of the wall is equal to the area for part A plus the area for part B. So let's find the area for part A. Again, this is a triangle, so it's just 1/2 base times height. 1/2 base times height. Well, base is how wide this wall is. 22 feet it says. 22 feet. 22 feet. And the height of this guy. Well, I don't know the height of that guy. I don't know the height. But what I do know is the slope. And that's what I'm going to use. Now remember, slope is rise over run. There's my rise and there's my run. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a proportion using this information. So I'm going to be in the sandbox for just a second. So I've got 8:12, rise is to run as, well, remember, I don't know the rise. That's what I'm looking for. So I'll put my X in there. And what's my run? My run is from here to here. And I know what that is. It's just half of the 22. Now I'm going to use, I can use cross multiplication, or I could just multiply both sides by 11 and call it good. So I'm going to have X is equal to 8 divided by 11. I'll figure out what that is. And then multiply that, 8 divided by 12. 8 divided by 12. And then take that and multiply it by 11. 7.33 and so on. 7.3333. That's my height up here. And so for the area of this whole triangle, again, it's 1/2 the base times the height, which is that guy. He's just 7 1/3 if you think about it. 7.3333. And he's already sitting in my calculator, so let me just have him do the work. So it's going to be times 22 times 1/2, which is 0.5. So I get 80, 80.66, and so on. And these are all in feet, so this is square feet. Okay, so that's the area for part A, the top of the wall, part A. Okay, so for the bottom part, area of the bottom, that's just a rectangle, which is 22 by 10. 22 by 10. So the area of the bottom is equal to 220 square feet. I can do that in my head. And now my job is just to add those two together, and I already have the one number in here, so it's plus 220. So that, whoops, was that right? I made a mistake. So I've got 80.6666 plus 220. So the area of the wall, or the total area, is equal to 300.66. And that's good enough. So square feet. Okay. So part number 2 says I want to put some plywood on this wall. And the plywood comes in 4 by 8 sheets. And I want to know how many it's going to take to go ahead and cover this wall. Well, all I have to do is just find the area of one sheet of plywood, and I'll divide it into the area of the entire wall, and that'll tell me how many sheets that I need. Now, we all know that, you don't have to use plywood in full sheets. You could use pieces, but you don't want to use too many pieces because that's going to be difficult to apply, and it's not going to look very good. So we're going to get a mathematical answer, but just keep in mind that what you actually do on the job very well may be a little bit different. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find the area of a sheet of plywood. which is 4 by 8, and the area of a sheet of plywood is nothing more than 32 square feet. Now I'm going to take the answer for my first guy, the area of the wall, and I'm going to be dividing it by the area of the plywood. And that's going to give me the number of sheets that I need. So area of the wall is 300.6666 divided by 32. Now I still have that 300 sitting there in my calculator, and I'm going to make use of it. So it's divided by 32. So I get 9.3958. So we'll say about 10 sheets. Yeah, you might want to order 11, but about 10 sheets is a good math answer for this problem. Okay, and finally, we're going to put up some siding, and siding comes in 12-inch long pieces, and we're going to say that each lap is going to cover 5 inches in width of the building, and we want to know how many it's going to take. Well, what we're going to have to do is find out the area of one piece of siding, one piece of siding. Okay. Well, siding it comes in lap siding, and it comes in rectangular shapes. So formula for a rectangle, length times width. But the problem is that this is 12 feet and this is 5 inches. So we're going to have to change the inches because we've been dealing with feet all along. We're going to change the inches to feet by dividing by 12. So it's going to be 12 feet times 5 inches divided by 12. I'm just going to set it up like that. 12 feet times my 5 divided by 12. Well, that turned out pretty sweet. 5 square feet. That's for one piece. So I'm going to go back to my answer at the very beginning, which was this 300 and change on the square feet of the wall, and I'm going to divide it by this to find out the number of pieces that it's going to take to cover that wall. And to do that, I've got 300.6666, and I'm going to divide that by 5. So I end up with 300.6666 divided by 5. 60.1333. So we're going to say somewhere in the neighborhood of 61 pieces of siding. And there you have it.